All our lives, we've been told. Work hard.
Achieve. Get to the next level.
But sometimes, our best efforts fall short. We start to think maybe we don't have what it takes.
Or maybe we do.
Jesus took on the sins of the whole world. He conquered even death itself.
He invites us to follow him. He wants us to trust him.
And through him, through his body and blood, we are united in Jesus. And to each other.
Everything we're searching for.
Hail Mary, full of grace.
Our hopes and our dreams.
Points to a Father.
Who loves us unconditionally.
Who called us by name.
If you knew that receiving the Eucharist would change your life and change the world,
What will you do?
what would you do?
What would you do? Join us for the Year of the Eucharist.
Coming up on this edition of Reel to Reel.
Registration is open for the Eucharistic Congress, which will be held in March. I'm Carolee McGrath. I'll have that story coming up.
The impact of the Polish Solidarity movement on the fall of the former Soviet Union was discussed at a recent Elms College talk. And a visit from the Three Kings brings the Christmas season to a close. These stories are coming your way next on Reel to Reel. Hello and welcome to Reel to Reel. In a little less than 2 months, the Eucharistic Congress will be held at the Mass Mutual Center in Springfield. The day includes inspiring talks, adoration, a children's program, and Mass with Springfield Bishop William Byrne. Registration is now open. Carolee McGrath sat down earlier this week with April Hellenick, who is taking the lead on the organizing, and Father David O'Farrell, the spiritual director of the conference.
Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day
April Hellenick, her new baby Winter Rosemarie, and Father David O'Farrell gathered to pray on a recent morning at Holy Family Parish in South Deerfield. Hellenick is the president of the Catholic Life Conference, which is tasked with organizing the Eucharistic Congress. The event will be held at the Mass Mutual Center in Springfield on March 4th. Father David, the pastor of Holy Family, is the spiritual director of the Eucharistic Congress. The theme is He is Present. Baby Winter Rose is April and her husband Jay's 7th child.
You just had a baby. Why did you take this on?
Because God has given me the baby. You know, God gives us all things, and He, as cliche as this sounds, He gave us the gift of the Eucharist, and it is that baby is only here because of my conversion to the Eucharist. I was a cradle Catholic, and it was the Eucharist, the understanding that God is truly present in something so simple, is the reason that I am here today.
The Eucharistic Congress has nationally known Catholic speakers lined up, including Edward Sri, a Catholic author who often appears on EWTN and is the founding leader of Fellowship of Catholic University Students, or FOCUS. Patricia Sandoval will present in English and Spanish. The international pro-life and chastity speaker will share her story of past abortions, her work at Planned Parenthood, substance abuse, and her conversion. The Eucharistic Congress is a great opportunity for anybody, but especially for those who are questioning their faith. The scientific evidence behind the Eucharistic miracles that will be presented is enough to even make the doubting Thomas reconsider.
All of them are really exciting. For me, because of my journey when it comes to the Eucharist, Dr. Peralata is flying in from Guatemala, and he's doing a PowerPoint presentation of the Eucharistic miracle that he was involved with in Tixla, Mexico.
The Eucharistic Congress will feature displays of Blessed Carlo Acutis, who built a website documenting Eucharistic miracles. The teenage tech genius had a love for the Eucharist. He died of leukemia at the age of 15 in 2006. He is the patron of the Congress.
We want people to sign up as soon as they can. Sign up, come for the day, and just be inspired by the faith of those around you and for those speakers. There's something for everyone in this conference, especially in terms of approaching our faith from a reasonable approach, from understanding the Eucharist, understanding miracles from a scientific approach, and then also helping that ignite our faith as well.
In addition to the speakers, there's a children's program, adoration, and a Eucharistic procession before Mass with Bishop Byrne. Zelly will also be present.
Mark your calendars and please come to the Mass Mutual Center. It's going to be a great celebration. We have amazing nationwide quality speakers in English and in Spanish. We have a kids track, everything to meet every person's spiritual needs, to gather us around the Eucharist, to celebrate the great gift of Christ truly present. This is a must-attend event, and I think it's going to be wonderful. So I look forward to packing the Mass Mutual Center.
People are encouraged to register by February 20th in order to have lunch included. Reporting for Reel to Reel, I'm Carolee McGrath.
To register for the Eucharistic Congress, head over to the link we have for you at iobserve.org. After leading the Office of Safe Environment and Victim Assistance since 2019, Jeffrey Trant will be leaving his position as director at the end of this month. For more than 3 years now, Trent has worked to revamp the child protection and victim advocacy efforts for the Diocese of Springfield. I spoke with him last week as he planned to depart. Since June of 2019, Jeffrey Trant has served as the director of the Office of Safe Environment and Victim Assistance of the Diocese of Springfield. His appointment following Pope Francis's call for new protection guidelines for the Catholic Church worldwide. Among his early goals, to revamp the investigative services for the diocese.
Doing our work in the public square has been a priority.
During his early days in the position, under the direction of then-Bishop Mitchell Rosansky, he engaged retired Superior Court Judge Peter Velas to investigate a matter previously reported to the Diocese of Springfield. Along with this, Trant said the diocese needed to determine what would be done to correct systemic failures.
It's one thing to identify a problem, it's another thing to correct, right, and to systemically restructure kind of the organization to help ensure that those issues won't persist.
In an effort to keep with the principle of transparency, an independent task force was appointed.
And that task force spent more than a year out researching and studying, kind of how the diocese had responded to the clergy sexual abuse crisis in the past, looked at its practices, looked at the existing policies and procedures, and ultimately engaged in a much more robust strategic planning process than we had ever been involved in the past.
Trant said partnering with independent organizations like Northampton-based Stop It Now helped to identify objectives to improve the diocese's response. He says the diocese is well underway in the restructuring process, along with strengthening its relationships with law enforcement.
Again, the sexual abuse of a child is a crime, irrespective of when it happened, and that it's the Church's responsibility to make sure that those crimes are being reported to law enforcement.
Trant says that following the strategic plans and strengthening the relationship with law enforcement will be the key going forward.
Ultimately, the focus is how do we help listen and understand what would be meaningful and restorative to the individual, and how can we use the resources and tools that the diocese has to help support healing.
A national search is underway to fill Trant's position. We all wish Jeffrey Trant well in his new position as Executive Director of the Children's Advocacy Center of Franklin County and North Quabbin. And still to come on Reel to Reel, Steve Kiltonic brings us the story of the Polish Solidarity Movement and its impact on the collapse of the former Soviet Union. And the Christmas season comes to a close with a visit from the Three Wise Men. It's all still ahead on this edition of Reel to Reel.
Like Catholic TV on Facebook. Once you're there, you can join in on discussions, make friends with other Catholic TV fans, Watch behind-the-scenes videos from the studio.
Just finished this
today.
And stay up to date with the Catholic world. All this at facebook.com/CatholicTV.
Hi, Mom. What are you doing today?
Providence Place, owned by the Sisters of Providence, an ideal rental setting for retirees to continue their active, independent lifestyles. We have bright 1- and 2-bedroom apartments, a magnificent chapel with daily mass, restaurant-style dining, and wellness and entertainment programs. Call for a tour, 413-534-9700.
Mom, call me when you're not so busy.
2022 brought a new leader for Thomas Aquinas College right up Route 91 in Northfield. A new president at the helm who is also a graduate of the school. The Catholic College opened its first campus in Southern California more than 50 years ago, and the Northfield campus in 2019. Carolyn McGrath sat down with Dr. Paul O'Reilly to learn more about the college's mission and opportunities for young adults.
So I'm joined by Dr. Paul O'Reilly, who is the president of Thomas Aquinas College here in Northfield. Congratulations. I know that this is a new title for you.
Thank you very much.
So tell me a little bit about your role, and you were newly installed as president this year, correct?
Yes, so at the graduation, we had our first graduation here on the Northfield campus, and I took the oath of office, became the president of the college. We have one college and 2 campuses. So we have an East Coast campus here and the West Coast campus in Southern California.
O'Reilly is the first graduate of Thomas Aquinas College to become president. He travels from California to Massachusetts frequently, overseeing both Catholic college campuses. Last fall, Bishop William Byrne joined Los Angeles Archbishop Jose Gomez on the Santa Paula, California campus of Thomas Aquinas for O'Reilly's inauguration as the college's 5th president. The Northfield campus opened in August of 2019 on property which had been owned by the Northfield Mount Hermon Prep School. The California campus opened in 1971. Tell me a little bit about the history of Thomas Aquinas College. I know it started in California and relatively newer here in Western Massachusetts.
Yes, so we're 50 years old. We started, as you said, in Southern California. We're lay run, so it's not an order that runs us. We're not Benedictine or Dominican, nor are we officially attached to the diocese, though we are Catholic, and as Catholic we have to have the approval of the diocese. But laymen run the college.
They also follow the Great Books program with an emphasis on philosophy, theology, and math.
So we read the great books, that is the works in philosophy of Aristotle and St. Thomas. In natural science, we'll read everyone from, say, Galileo and Newton, earlier scientists and later ones. In theology, we read the Bible cover to cover freshman year, and St. Augustine, St. Thomas Aquinas, and others. So we don't have textbooks. We read what's called the great books. And we have no electives, no majors, no minors. It's one program. We have a good number of lawyers. But we also have doctors, businessmen, entrepreneurs, whatever. Though 30% of our students go on to teach in some way or another, either at the high school level, college level. 80 of our alums now in the priesthood, both in dioceses and in religious orders, and a number of religious men and women too.
Faith has been central in O'Reilly's life, and he's had his share of heartache.
I was born in Ireland, one of 8 children. My father and mother separated before we left Belfast. So Belfast is a tough town for Catholics. I had 2 uncles who were murdered, and my mother decided it was time to move the family out of Ireland, and we moved to Canada. And unfortunately, she was killed in a car accident 8 months after we moved, so all 8 of us were left orphaned. And my uncle and aunt adopted all 8 of us because they didn't want us to be separated. And so then we became a family of 12.
O'Reilly met his wife when they were both students on the West Coast campus. The couple also has 12 children.
They're all wonderful kids because their mother is so good. And a number of them have gone to Thomas Aquinas College. I have currently my daughter Rosalie is a junior there on the California campus. and I've had 6 others who are alums of the college.
O'Reilly says the college is deliberately small, with just under 400 on the West Coast and around 175 in Northfield, with room to grow. I'm standing inside our Mother of Perpetual Help Chapel, which was renovated when Thomas Aquinas College moved to the Northfield campus. They have 3 masses a day here. There's adoration every day at 5:45 and a student-led rosary each evening at 9:15.
This is a difficult time in some ways to be a believer and to be convicted of your own principles and try to live them in the society. But on the other hand, God calls us at this time. God started off with 12 apostles. So he started off small, and I think that there's going to be I'm hoping at least a renewal. We need it desperately. We have our motto here, taken from the prayers, to renew the face of the earth. That's what God calls us to do.
And so from Massachusetts to California, Thomas Aquinas College students are doing their part to live out the gospel and spread that message from coast to coast. Reporting for Reel to Reel in Northfield, I'm Carolee McGrath.
To learn more about Thomas Aquinas College, we have a link for you at iobserve.org. The former Soviet Union collapsed in 1991, but the impetus for the seismic event actually had roots in Poland more than a decade earlier with Solidarity, a Polish trade union. Elms College in Chicopee recently held a discussion on the impact of the Solidarity movement. Steve Kiltonic reports.
It began in 1976 when a group of dissident intellectuals supported striking workers in communist Poland. Several years later, rising food prices and poor economic conditions led to thousands of workers at the Gdansk shipyards barricading themselves at the plant under the leadership of Lech Walesa. In September 1980, the communist government and workers reached an agreement that opened the door for 36 free and independent trade unions in Poland. They united under the name Solidarność, or Solidarity. After a military crackdown in 1981, Solidarity survived underground and later played a major role in free elections in Poland and the eventual downfall of the Soviet Union in 1991. In commemoration of Solidarity's 40th anniversary in 2020, a panel discussion was held on November 30th at Elms College's Alumni Library. The panel included 3 individuals with direct involvement in the Solidarity movement. Marek Leśniewski-Las helped to establish a pro-Solidarity group, SOS, and later served 25 years as Poland's honorary consul for the New England states. During the 1980s, Elizabeth Waszutinsky was a volunteer staff member of Solidarity's underground embassy in Belgium, supporting the group's efforts to seek moral, political, and financial support. And Andrzej Blazinski served as president of Solidarity International and president of the Connecticut division of the Polish American Congress. The discussion followed Elms College's first-year Catholic social teaching theme, Solidarity, and a related book, Crossing the Line, by Kareem Rosser. The talk was made possible by the Polish Center of Discovery and Learning, the Kosciuszko Foundation's New England chapter, and the Institute for Theology and Pastoral Studies at Elms. Solidarity was established as a broad, anti-authoritarian social movement designed to advance the causes of workers' rights and social change.
First and foremost, it was a nonviolent movement. Second, it did not claim to be seeking the destruction of communism, just merely sought self-organization. It, in essence, organized outside of communist structures. Within months, some 700,000 Communist Party members resigned their Communist Party affiliation, and many of them joined Solidarity. That's how powerful that movement was.
In time, 10 million Poles would become members. When martial law was imposed on December 13, 1981, Leśniewski-Las and some friends decided to get involved.
We created an organization called Support of Solidarity because the acronyms stood for SOS. We very quickly were befriended by a number of American politicians. From this area was Ken Lemański, who put us together with Ted Kennedy, and Kennedy organized a dinner to raise money. First money that was raised in the United States, $60,000 raised by Kennedy's dinner.
In the 1980s, Lemański represented Chicopee in the state legislature.
The people of Massachusetts were able to raise money to support the efforts of Solidarity and the Catholic Church through what was called the Massachusetts Tribute to Poland. And Bishop McGuire at the time was involved in the effort, and he actually conveyed the monies that we raised in Massachusetts directly to the Pope so that the Pope, John Paul II, could help support the Solidarity movement in Poland.
SOS kept Polish American communities updated on a daily basis.
We had demonstrations, we had meetings with politicians, we had meetings with press, we had lectures, gave lectures in colleges and universities on the subject of Poland.
After the communist crackdown, Solidarity was banned and forced to go underground. Waszytuński, who spoke 3 languages, used her language prowess as a volunteer at Solidarity's embassy in Brussels, Belgium. She performed a variety of duties, even working with a Hollywood film crew.
They were calling out to the brothers and sisters in the trade union world to say, please, we need your help because martial law has been introduced. We can't leave our country. We can't invite you in because you will not be let into our country. And therefore, we need an embassy. We need a representation. We need somebody who can speak for us during this time.
The U.S. and the Vatican supported Solidarity financially, enabling it to survive through the 1980s. Pope John Paul II, a native of Poland, helped to dispel any fear.
For me, as a practicing Catholic, I think that the most important element of what I sense Karol Wojtyła, the Pope, brought to Poland in his visits was hope. And whether you are an individual or whether you're an organization, even a trade union, you need hope.
As the former president of Solidarity International, Bozinski brought together many spontaneous solidarity organizations that were formed after martial law was enacted.
There was some mistrust and not much communication. My major contribution is to start the process of these organizations talking to each other and cooperating, collaborating. So that was, I think, significantly helpful because indeed it multiplied the effectiveness of each of the organizations that were part of it. One of the things that my organization did in Connecticut was to send parcels to the people who were interned, the people who were imprisoned. The church served as a distribution center. There were parishes that knew who needed help, particularly in terms of the folks that were imprisoned. Okay, so a lot of aid went through those parishes.
Ultimately, the Soviet Union was unwilling to use force against Poland, and Solidarity became the only alternative for Poles. A publicity photo depicting actor Gary Cooper was transformed into a campaign poster urging Poles to end communist control. In August 1989, the Communist Party was soundly rejected, losing 99 of 100 seats in the Polish Senate.
Within weeks, literally, Czechoslovakia, Hungary, Romania all fell, East Germany all fell, the Berlin Wall physically, literally fell. All these communist regimes collapsed.
When Lech Walesa became prime minister in 1990, communism ended in Poland. Solidarity's lasting legacy remains its role in bringing democracy to Poland and forcing the once invincible Soviet Union to collapse like a house of cards. For Real to Real, I'm Steve Kiltonick.
And hearing from the personal experiences of those involved in the Solidarity movement gave first-year Elms students and attendees a chance to see Solidarity in action and witness contemporary events from a global perspective. Finally today, the Christmas season came to a close last week with the celebration of the Feast of the Epiphany, the day marking the visit of the 3 wise men to the infant Jesus. A special celebration was held at St. Mary's Parish in Westfield, involving music, food, and a visit from the 3 kings. Kathy Harrington reports.
On this 12th day of Christmas, 3 kings led the entrance procession for the Vigil Mass at St. Mary Church in Westfield. Balthasar, Gaspar, and Melchior carried gifts for the baby Jesus. The 3 young men laid the gold, frankincense, and myrrh at the Nativity before the altar. The celebration of 3 Kings Day is one dear to the hearts of the Spanish-speaking community.
Well, we learn about it in church. We always read stories every year. They always come up for the birth of Jesus. We always hear about it.
Alex Candelario recalls the celebrations of his childhood, when boxes of grass and hay were left under the children's bed and replaced with toys on Three Kings Day.
Well, we always got like small gifts. Kids in Puerto Rico, we do it every year over there. We started doing it over here because our Spanish community, we wanted to like push for it so everybody could enjoy it.
That's why this Three Kings Day celebration began with a bilingual mass.
Behold, the star that they had seen at rising preceded them until it came and stopped over the place where the child was.
Organized by the members of the Hispanic Commission of St. Mary Parish, the chairman of the Charismatic Renewal Prayer Meeting, El Camino, Juan 23, Cursillo, and the Confraternity of the Sacred Heart set out to make this celebration a parish unifying one.
We're kind of growing into going beyond the Hispanics and making sure that we can afford some of our activities and invite other people that don't know Spanish. But it's important for inclusion that it's one church.
In his homily, Father John Salatino emphasized the three wise men from the east following the star to the manger in Bethlehem were not Jews, a message that God's Son was a gift to the world.
And that's one thing that I think is significant, very significant about the Epiphany. Three men, kings, magicians, whatever, from different countries, from different nations, following the same star. They come together and they come and worship the God that's taught by Israel.
The Kings led the way out of the church to the celebration in the St. Mary High School gym, followed by very excited children and their parents. Among them, Lucas Maciano and his family. First, though, it was time for a feast. Families lined up to be served turkey, pork, chicken, rice with green pigeon peas, and white rice and beans. Soon the band was singing, "Here they come, the three kings are coming," and the three kings returned to hand out presents to the children.
I've been doing this for, I think, 3 years now, and I just enjoy being a part of it every year. That's another special part, too, when the kids get their gifts.
The children were called up in groups by age. First up, babies and toddlers. Soon it was Lucas's turn, the 7-year-old excited to receive a remote-control truck. Rachel Connor, Monica Delgado, and Ella Tanzi all received jewelry-making kits.
I got some beads.
And what are you going to do with them?
Big bracelets.
First grader Louise came with her Nana. A first-timer at the Three Kings celebration, she proudly showed off her present.
It's a little hairdresser kit. My mom's a hairdresser. They totally know.
Are you going to be a hairstylist?
Actually paleontologist.
Deacon Pedro says this night is one to remember.
I think this is one of the times that we have the largest amount of non-Hispanics, and I'm really excited about that. It was awesome. It was awesome.
For Real to Real, in Westfield, I'm Kathy Harrington.
And for this week, that's Real to Real. Bishop Byrne invites all to join him on Monday, January 23rd for a local pro-life mass and march. It all begins at 10 a.m. with a special liturgy at St. Michael's Cathedral, followed by a March for Life to the Springfield City Hall. For more on that and to keep up with all of the latest news on the Catholic Church in the Diocese of Springfield and around the world, head over to iobserve.org, where we have it all for you. That's iobserve.org. And we are also on Facebook at Catholic Communications. I'll see you back here next week for Real to Real, your window on the world around you. See you then.
Real to Real is a production of the Catholic Communications Corporation, funded in part by the annual Catholic Appeal, and the support of you, our faithful viewers.